Happy Halloween! Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and wild ones of all ages, I welcome you to the first ever episode of the KDH Halloween Spooktacular. I came up with the idea yesterday, so it's going to be thrown together. But here's a spooky story for you. Imagine you've been given the dream gig, but the only pick you've got is the Biscuit Pick. We've talked about a lot of guitar picks on this channel. We've done thick picks, really expensive boutique picks, and I want to talk about some not so great picks. Now this video is entirely subjective, so don't get too angry, but these are picks that I think are terrible. Let's start with a common one that you will probably find in most guitar shops. This is the Dunlop Nylon 0.46mm pick. It's slightly better than having paper. Like all the picks here that I'm going to talk about, it really does not suit my playing style at all. It's bad. But even with that, when I'm thinking of other playing styles, I can't get this to do anything. I can't really see a use for it at all, really. It is so thin that by the time your hand gets to where it's going, the pick is like a few milliseconds behind because it just bends, and no matter how hard you hit the guitar, it stays quiet. You can't control volume with your picking, which is something I do a lot, so I hate it. I've only ever seen this once, and this is when I got it, which was a few years ago, but this is the only Gibson product I own. I think it's a good idea on paper, but in practical terms it's almost entirely useless. This pick has got 3-in-1, kind of. It's got this thin one, this medium one, and this hard one. Thing is, they really aren't too different at all. The thin one is thin, but it's not much thinner than the medium, and then the medium is not much thinner than the hard side, so it's pretty much the same pick. Also, because of the size of it, you can't really hold the pick the way you'd normally hold a pick. If you're holding it for like a pick squeal or something, it just doesn't work. So you have to hold it in this big center Gibson logo, and it's just impractical, and I don't like it. Do you remember a few years back, I think they still make them, but it was really popular a few years ago for the pick punch things, where you could make picks out of credit cards or stuff. I had one, and this is the fruits of my labor. It's made out of an iTunes gift card, remember that? And it's just not good in any way. The punch never actually cut the pick ready to use. You always had to sand it, so it always left rough edges, and even when you did sand it, you'd still have rough enough edges, or they'd get rough after playing for a minute. So the material that these cards are made of is not something that I'd ever want really a pick to be made of, and I don't like it, and it's one of the terrible picks, and I hate it. I'm saving you for last, Biscuit Pick. I did some acoustic playing for a few years, and part of that you need long enough nails to pick the strings, and I think this was supposed to be a solution for people who didn't really want long nails. It's this little thumb pick, and what you're supposed to do is put your actual nail over it through this little slit. It's like a nail extension. The problem is it pulls on your nail, and you're often just playing in one part and it's just pulling your nail up, and it's really a horrible feeling, and so I'm going to put it down as a horrible pick. Another really annoying thing, the opening where your thumb is will get the string caught in it, and then that'll pull your nail up even more, and it's really horrible, and so terrible pick. This I think is a much better solution to thumb picking. It's the Dunlop thumb pick. It's not ideal. I think the pick is maybe a little bit too long, but you can probably shorten that down. But they're supposed to go in conjunction with these little finger picks that make you look like a cat. Good in theory. Again, it's the idea of having nails, but they're really bad. Literally any pressure whatsoever, as in picking a string with these, pulls them up off your finger, and then once it's gone, it releases and pinches the skin on your finger, and you have to refit it after every time you pluck a string. The thumb pick is actually kind of cool, but these finger picks hurt and don't do what they're supposed to do. Terrible picks. And finally, the creme de la creme of what even is this is the Biscuit Pick. I call it that because I have no idea what it actually is. I saw it in the pick drawer in my local music shop. There's no branding on them or anything, and I don't even know what material this is. It looks a little bit like a rich tea biscuit combined with like MDF, and it's fuzzy and it's hard on one side and like hairy on the other. It's really weird, and it also coats the guitar in biscuit dust. The other really weird thing about the Biscuit Pick is its rounded end, and it's much longer than a normal size pick, so it's just like, it's uncomfortable to play with as well. It's just an overall anomaly, and I have no idea what it's even supposed to be for. I could probably break it. Wonder what it would be like wet. You know what, I'm gonna wet this as well, and I'll demo it wet. Okay, so I've wet it, and it's now a lot more pliable, so I'm gonna see how that sounds as well. But first, because it's Halloween, we're gonna do some pyrotechnics. So we've talked about celluloid picks before. It's a material that is very flammable, and it's a very common material for picks. So I've taped 30 celluloid picks together to create what's going to be a block of fire in just a minute. So happy Halloween, and then I'll demo these terrible picks. Happy Halloween! Alright, I think we've got enough. Alright, the best of the bad bunch is probably the iTunes gift card pick, just because it's the closest to a normal heavy gauge pick, but it's not great. But I can tell you that it's better than the Biscuit Pick. So, yeah, I forgot to tell you what the worst one out of the whole bunch was, for me anyway. It's the Dunlop paper thin thing. It's almost useless. No, it is useless. I can't see a use for it for me anyway. I'd much rather the Biscuit Pick, or in fact the soggy biscuit. No. That's the video. Happy Halloween. and there'll probably be some better planned out videos in the future. So, bye bye.